The HOA president called my flood wall trailer park trash in front of the entire neighborhood. Then 3 hours later, she was standing knee-deep in sewage water screaming for help while reporters filmed everything. Yeah, that happened. And the craziest part? The wall they mocked ended up being the only thing that saved half the neighborhood. My name's Garrett Donovan, retired plumber, former Army Corps contractor. And for the past few years my entire life has revolved around keeping my wife Martha safe. She's got early dementia, and after the last flood hit our home outside Houston, she spent days confused and terrified, crying every time thunder rolled through. Watching someone you love slowly lose pieces of themselves is hard enough. Watching them suffer because rich people rigged the system? That does something to a man. See, our HOA wasn't run by normal people. It was run by Winston Ashford and his little country club mafia. Winston with his trust fund money and fake politician smile. His wife Brielle, who acted like she was curating Versailles instead of a suburban subdivision. And Dr. Silverton, a cardiologist who somehow found time between surgeries to harass working-class homeowners over mailbox colors. Now here's where things got ugly. Every spring, the creek behind our neighborhood flooded. That wasn't unusual. Texas storms don't play around. But after moving in, I started noticing something strange during my morning walks. The drainage channels had been altered, professionally altered. Water that was supposed to flow toward the creekside mansions was being redirected into the middle-income section, where people like me lived, including my house. After Hurricane Laura flooded our basement and destroyed family photos, Martha's piano, and damn near her peace of mind, I decided I wasn't asking permission anymore. I spent $8,000 and 3 weeks building a proper flood wall around my property. Engineered stone, hidden drainage channels, reinforced footing, the works. Honestly, it looked beautiful. The HOA lost their minds. Winston showed up with a clipboard acting like he was serving a federal warrant. This eyesore has to go. Brielle folded her arms and actually said, "It looks like something from a trailer park." Then Dr. Silverton laughed and asked if I planned on adding sandbags next. I remember standing there smelling cigar smoke and expensive perfume while these people mocked the one thing protecting my sick wife. And something inside me just went cold. Not angry cold. You know what I mean? So I started digging. Turns out Winston's development company had secretly modified the neighborhood drainage system years earlier. Illegal concrete diverters, underground pumps, unpermitted flood rerouting designed to protect the wealthy creekside homes while flooding everyone else's property instead. Even worse, they were buying up flood-damaged homes cheap, then flipping them for profit. It wasn't an HOA anymore. It was a scam wearing a polo shirt. Now let me back up a sec, because this is where the story gets fun. A retired librarian named Mrs. Brianna, sweetest woman you'll ever meet, showed up at my house with a folder thicker than a Bible. Old subdivision plans, aerial photos, contractor invoices. Enough paperwork to bury the HOA alive. Her nephew happened to be an environmental lawyer, and once he saw the documents, he nearly started laughing. Federal wetland violations, EPA exposure, infrastructure fraud. The Ashfords weren't sitting on a lawsuit anymore. They were sitting on a landmine. Meanwhile, Winston kept escalating. He filed injunctions against my wall, sent contractors to secretly damage parts of it while I was taking Martha to a doctor appointment, even tried spinning the whole thing into some community safety emergency. Only problem was, I understand water better than Winston understood consequences. I discovered their illegal pump system controlled all the diverted floodwater during storms. One central control unit, one weak point. So I made a small adjustment. Nothing destructive.
No signe de permanent.
I simply restored the original drainage flow. Then I waited for the storm. Sunday night, the HOA held an emergency meeting to publicly shame me in front of the neighborhood. Winston stood at the podium giving this dramatic speech about protecting community standards, while lightning cracked outside the windows. That's when I connected my laptop to the projector. I showed everyone the original neighborhood drainage maps, then the altered ones, then foreclosure records, then Ashford Development buying flooded homes for pennies on the dollar. The room exploded. Neighbors started shouting. People realized they'd been manipulated for years. Winston was sweating through his blazer trying to regain control when everyone's phones started ringing at once. Water in the basements. Flood alarms going off. Sump pumps failing. Outside the windows, rainwater was rushing straight back toward the Creekside mansions for the first time in years. Their own stolen water had come home. By the time the news crew arrived, Winston was standing knee-deep in floodwater screaming at contractors while Brielle cried over floating designer furniture. Dr. Silverton was on the phone learning his insurance wouldn't cover flood damage caused by illegal drainage modifications. And me? I just stood there in the rain beside my flood wall while reporters shoved microphones in my face. One of them asked, "Mr. Donovan, any final thoughts?" I looked straight at Winston struggling in his flooded driveway and said, "When you steal water from people long enough, eventually it remembers where it belongs." The EPA investigation hit them like a freight train after that. Nearly $1 million in fines, criminal charges, asset freezes. The HOA board collapsed within weeks. Now the neighborhood's peaceful again. Martha likes sitting beside the wall in the evenings watching the water flow safely past the house during storms. Sometimes kids stop to look at it like it's some kind of local landmark. Funny, isn't it? The thing they called trash ended up saving the whole neighborhood. But I still think about one thing sometimes. If that storm hadn't hit that exact night, if Mother Nature hadn't exposed everything in real time, would anybody have believed me? Or would the rich people have gotten away with it again? Tell me honestly, did I go too far restoring the water flow? Or did the HOA finally get exactly what they deserved?